Hello, welcome to Matters of DeCorum. I'm Scott Corum. This is what matters to me. One more week of talking about the Victory System, a tabletop role-playing game by myself and my partner, Victor Gibson. We've talked about the basic mechanics, talked about basic character creation, a couple of things that make character creation more interesting, and special abilities, equipment. Today, I'm going to go into game mastering with this a little bit by talking about the basics of combat. How do you hit? How do you avoid being hit? How do you do damage? How do you take damage? How do you recover from damage? Combat is one of those key systems in a role-playing game. A lot of games put a lot of emphasis on that because combat is conflict, and conflict is storytelling. It's not the only form of conflict you can have out there, but it's cheap, it's easy, it fits into a book nicely. How do I hit? I have a weapon, or I am barehanded. I want to throw an attack. Peace is no longer an option. We have exhausted diplomacy. I need to throw the punch. How do I do that? Throwing a punch. I take my agility stat. I add my hand-to-hand skill to it. That is my target. I'm going to roll a d20. If I get that number or under, I have hit. If I exceed that number, I have missed. If I roll a 1, I have critically hit. I'm doing extra damage. If I roll a 20, I have probably injured myself, and I need to roll against that damage myself. I have thrown a muscle or punched a wall, and I've done something that is just the opposite of what I was trying to get done. It is not mechanically different. If I want to fire a gun, I've got a pistol, and I need to hit something downrange. I take my dexterity, which is my fine motor skills, and add my firearms short for a pistol. That gives me my number I need to roll under. Again, if I meet that number or am under it, I've hit. If I exceed that number, I've missed. If I roll a 1, I have hit for extra damage, a critical hit. If I roll a 20, I've probably jammed the gun at the lightest, if I haven't blown it up if it's a poorly constructed weapon. Melee attack. I have a sword. I would like to strike somebody with my sword. I take my agility. That's my melee, full body stat. I add my melee skill to it. I might have a bonus from the weapon. If it's a really good sword, maybe a +1 or a +2. I add that number together. That gives me my target. Roll my d20. Hit that number or under. I have hit. Exceed that number. I've missed. On a 1, I've critically hit. On a 20, I've critically missed. No matter what I am doing, I get my total, I roll my dice, I try to get under it. If I am under, I hit. If I'm over, I miss. It's important to keep track of your margin of success. This is pretty important, actually. That's the difference between the number that you needed to get and the number that you rolled. I have a 14. My agility of 10 because I'm very agile, and my 4 melee gives me a total of 14. I roll a 10. I made it. It's a success. My margin of success is a 4. The higher the margin of success, the better the hit was. Not that it's going to cause that much more damage. It's going to be harder to defend against. So you can take that as a measure. In whatever you're doing, if you're painting a picture and you're rolling intelligence art, your margin of success governs how good that picture is. Any roll under your target is a success, but the more you get under, you might consider that a bonus success. It's not just good, it's a really good picture. My margin of success is a 5. That's excellent. That's as good as most people are ever going to get. My margin of success is a 10. That's magnificent. I'd put that up in a gallery someplace. It's going to earn a lot of money probably after you're dead, but still, it's a really good picture. You roll that 1, that is the best you're ever going to do. 5% chance you're going to get the best thing you have ever done. Oh, okay. So that is making attacks or succeeding a task. How do I defend against those? Let's take that sword hit. That I've got a total of 14. I roll a 10. I have a margin of success of 4. How do I defend against that? Well, if I have a melee weapon or martial arts that allow me to parry melee weapons with my bare body, I can make a melee roll to parry that. Same roll, agility plus melee or agility plus hand-to-hand if I've got the stuff to parry bladed weapons with my bare skin. I have that same roll. Well, my total's going to be I've got an agility at 8 and 2 in my melee. I've got a 10. I've got a 10 to parry that. But then there's the margin of success. The better someone attacks, the harder it is to defend against. Half that margin of success is a penalty to the defense, whether they are parrying or dodging, which we'll get to. So in our example where I have had a 14 to hit and I rolled a 10, my margin of success is 4. That is a penalty of 2 to that parry. So I go to parry, I have my total of 10, I subtract 2. I need an 8 or less to parry that attack. It's going to be tricky. But there's less than a 50-50 chance to do it. But hey, you got to take a shot, right? You can try to parry, or you can try to dodge. Parrying is putting something physically in the way of that attack. Dodging is just getting out of the way. That's usually agility plus your choice of acrobatics, sports, or extreme sport. How you want to get out of the way, that's up to you. Also a place where the deal comes in. You might want to use dancing or some other skill to get out of the way of an attack. Usually it's going to be agility, though. So I take my agility plus my acrobatics. Let's say that gives me my 10. I've got an 8 agility and a 2 acrobatics, so I've got a total of 10. But that sword strike was pretty good, so I've got a -2. Again, margin of success was 4, half of that 2, and I've got a -2 to that 10, 8 or less dodges. The benefit of a dodge is that you don't have anything, you don't have any skin in the game in a dodge. You're just getting out of the way. You're not putting anything up. Parrying can damage your equipment or your bare skin. If you can parry with your arm at any point in time, just you can't expect to keep the arm. If you're going to take a shot to the head, parrying that attack is going to hurt a lot, but you might save your head. So, if you successfully dodge or you successfully parry, usually you are avoiding damage. Not having to worry. But what happens when damage is coming in? You're going to get hit. Attacks have a damage number. Weapons like guns and ranged weapons like that have a static damage number. Your standard 9mm pistol has a 12 damage. Melee weapons have a damage add. They add to the damage you are doing with your strength. Take strength plus your martial damage skill gives you how much raw damage you're doing. So you've got a good 7 points of damage. You're not that strong, but just study how to do some stuff with your hands. You've got your 6 strength. You've got your 1 martial damage. You've got a 7 damage. Pick up a sword that's doing +2. So you're doing total of 9 damage. Okay? People have a damage resistance number. That's one of your stats. So in your derived stats, it's twice your stamina. So the average is going to be 14. So that 9 damage attack comes in, and you got a 14. Subtract the damage from your damage resistance. I've got a 14, 9 damage is coming in, total 5. I need to roll a 5 or less on a d20 to resist the damage, to just not take the damage. If I roll 9 or roll 5 or under, I don't take the damage. That damage has glanced off. They did not do enough damage to damage my body. I roll over a 9, I'm taking the damage. I'm taking a shrug. Shrugs is another one of your derived statistics. That is half of your stamina. What's a shrug? You ever watch a movie? You see the big hero in the fight. Suddenly, the bad guy gets a shot off. What hits him in the arm, and there's blood, and the hero grabs it as though he's in pain and staggers off. Maybe he ties a bandage around it with his teeth, or presses something hot against it to cauterize it. That's a shrug. He's going to shrug that off, because the next scene you're not going to see it happen. But the number of times you can shrug off damage, that's your total in shrugs. That is how many times you can take the damage and just keep going. So I do not roll my 5. I roll over a 5 on my damage resistance roll. I take a shrug. If I have my average stamina of 7, half of that's 3.5. You round up, 4 shrugs, not bad. I take a shrug of damage. Now I have 3. When you have taken more than your total in shrugs, I've got 4 shrugs. If I ever take a total of 5 shrugs, that character has gone unco. They are unconscious. They can no longer shrug off the damage. They are overcome by the amount of damage they've taken. They're unconscious. They can be brought around by a medicine roll, an intelligence plus medicine skill. Someone makes that roll for them. They can be brought around, or if they have some special ability that allows them to heal, they might come around from that if they regenerate by, for instance, or someone uses a special ability like that on them, or gives them a shot of something that gives them a shrug back. They are back up in action. Still need to get the rest of their shrugs back, but as soon as I'm at that -1 shrug, 5 shrugs out of my 4, I am unco. Unco is not a big deal. You recover from getting unco pretty easily. But if I take my total in shrugs twice, I've got 4 shrugs, I take a total of 8. Well, now I'm on the verge of dead. If I take 1 more, as soon as I am over twice my number of shrugs, I'm dead. That is dead. You go from unco to dead. As soon as you take 9 shrugs. If you got the base of 4, 2 times 4, 8 plus 1, 9. That 9th shrug kills me. You're dead. Dead's not the end of the world, though. Dead is something you get to the hospital, they perform some surgery, you're in ICU for a little while, you get better, you recover from dead. As long as something intervenes, you get medical attention very quickly, you get to a hospital, someone casts healing, you are not going to die immediately. You can get more healing, get back up to unco, and then back up to conscious and functional. Over time, you will recover the shrugs. 3 times shrugs is bad. You've got that 4 shrugs. As soon as I take 13 shrugs, that 3 times 4, 12, plus 1, 13. As soon as I take that 13th shrug, I am not just dead. I am dead as hell. At dead as hell, there isn't even enough of a corpse left to have an open casket funeral. You have been blown to pieces, vaporized, splattered across the pavement. That is an X-character. In order to get a character back that has gone to the state of dead as hell, the rest of the party is required to go on some kind of a quest that is extremely inconvenient for all of them, and maybe they'll get you back. That is where a resurrection spell, that's very difficult, big, expensive magic happens. That's where you quest to that temple in Tibet, that one place that might be able to reconstitute the body with a ritual that endangers the rest of the party's lives. Dead as hell is as dead as you get. You either go to some extreme measures to get that character back, or everyone applauds, you make up a new character, and you tell that story for the rest of your life, because that's pretty impressive. You're generally trying to get your bad guys dead as hell. And that's actually the very basics. Weapons have ranges if they are ranged weapons, or a reach if they are not, if they're melee weapons. And some weapons have extra reach. Some weapons have extremely long range. If a weapon has a very long range, that range is incremental. A thrown weapon, a thrown knife, I've got a that is going to travel strength times 4 feet. Then you take your strength, you multiply it by 4. That's how many feet you're ever going to get that. It says as far as you can throw that. But a gun has an incremental range. It has a point blank range, fairly short. That is range which you're going to get +1 to hit because that is so close it's very hard to miss. Then you get your short, medium, and extreme ranges. That short range is no penalty, no bonus. It is within the optimal range of the gun. The medium range, you're taking a -1 to hit because that is somewhat far away. Long range, extreme out there, you're going to take a -2. That's a hard shot to make. You can gain penalties and bonuses. You can always spend risk to get your bonus, but things get dark. In dim light, -2. In utter darkness, you can't see, -4 to your attack. Things are behind cover, usually -2 for half cover, -4 if they're completely behind cover. Something's completely behind cover in the dark that is a -8 to hit. You're probably going to have to work on tactics instead of actually trying to attack this round. And that's really about it. I've taken shrugs. How do I get them back? Well, there's healing abilities. You can have someone in the party or an NPC that's got a healing spell or can psionically heal someone or use chi to bring them back around. There's medications, some equipment heals things very quickly, especially in the space era. You've got the spray hypo that brings someone back around, gives them back 3 or 4 shrugs, and they're probably back in the game at that point in time. You can make a medicine roll, intelligence plus medicine. Usually if you've got a medical kit, not having the right tools for a job is a -4 penalty. So if you don't have a medical kit, intelligence plus medicine, -4. Trying to do medicine with just your hands doesn't often work. But if you got the first aid kit or the crash cart or whatever you need, intelligence plus medicine, you succeed that roll, they get a shrug back and they're generally stabilized, not dying anymore, as it were. Short of that, 2 ways that you can heal. 1, a Night of Rest heals all shrugs. It's a cinematic game. It's not meant to have realistic healing. So a Night of Rest, if you get your 8 hours in, you have healed all of your shrugs and you're back at it. Just like a movie. You might have bandages and bruises and stuff, but you're able to shrug off as much damage as you were yesterday at the beginning of that day. Or player characters can come with the healing ritual. This is completely up to the player. You might have you sit down with a Delmonico steak and a pot of coffee and you power through it. And by the time you're done with that meal, you have recovered all of your shrugs. Kimball Kinnison from the Lensman series. Decker from Blade Runner, wash the blood out of your mouth and have intimacy with your replicant girlfriend, and you're back on top of things, so to speak, and have all your shrugs back. Something that your character does that it takes some time. It might require a roll. It is just what they do to overcome, to get back their constitution. That maybe they go to the gym and work on the bag for a little while. They get their shrugs back from that healing ritual. This makes it kind of easy people stay in the fight for a maximum amount of time and burn through all of your risk. Burn through your risk as a player character in the game, because you can get more. Getting more involves doing something. There's 2 ways to get your risk back, actually. 1, you have at least one risk left. You always need to have at least one risk left to refill. If you burn yourself to 0 risk, which can happen, you are done getting risk for the evening. You will get risk back at the beginning of the next game when you have everyone gets all the risk at the beginning of every session. But if you've got one risk left, you can do something zany, something ridiculous, something that might cause the character harm. You can do a jackass stunt, jump over a car, try and vault from rooftop to rooftop, do a little parkour, and you're risking damage to do this. You cannot burn any risk on this roll. Even if you have the risk to burn, you can't burn it on this roll, not to get it back. And you tell the game master how many shrugs you're risking. I'm only down a little risk. I would like to get 10 of my risk back. Well, I will risk 1 shrug. I will try to jump from this rooftop to that rooftop. It's going to be agility plus acrobatics. If I flub it, it's not that high. I'll take 1 shrug. Okay? Succeed or fail, you get your 10 risk back. Congratulations. That is 10 risk back that you did not have before. You might be damaged. You might have taken that fall. You can burn 10 risk to get a shrug back, so it can balance out a little bit. I'm down more than that. I need to get half of my risk back. I need half of my total pool refilled. I risk 2 shrugs. I will risk 2 shrugs on this. It's a higher roof that I'm jumping over, or I'm going to try and jump over that guy in the motorcycle. If he hits me, he's going to clip me. He's going to do 2 shrugs. Okay. Succeed or fail, you get half your risk back. You might take the damage. If you fail, or if you succeed, you take no damage. You got half your risk. You are ready to go. Or you've been spending, you got that 1 risk. You got almost nothing left. I need to get all my risk back. I am going to get out of the way of that truck. I am going to try and run across this busy freeway. I'm going to do something dangerous and ridiculous. If I succeed or fail, I will get a full refill, and everyone at the table will hold their hands up and yell, refill, because it's in the book. And you make the roll. Can't use any risks. So there's no re-rolls. There's no bonuses. You're just making the raw roll. Probably something acrobatic, usually agility based. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Succeed, you take no damage, and you get all your risk back. Fail, you take the damage, and you get all your risk back. Refill, everyone yells at the table. If you roll a 1 on your attempt to refill, the game master might give you a bonus. You might have an extra 10 or extra 20 risk over your usual. You're not going to be able to keep that to the next session, so you might as well burn it. If you roll 20 on your refill attempt, you're taking twice as much risk. That is the effect of a natural 20 on defense, or if you're saving against damage, you double the amount of shrugs you take. By that, if you roll the natural 1 when you're attacking someone, you're doing twice as many shrugs as you normally would. That attack that would have done 1 shrug, it'll do 2. So that is getting your risk back one way. The second way to get your risk back, if you have one of the special access merits, Mind of Power, Spell Slinger, Martial Artist, Preternatural, Spell Slinger, you have access to the universe. You have that flow of energy going through you one way or another. You can simply sit and focus, make a will plus do magic or martial arts or use mechanica, whatever your skill is for that special merit. Yeah, you make that will plus special skill roll. You still risk the shrugs, but you're not jumping off of buildings or dodging cars. You're sitting, meditating, maybe playing a video game or have incense lit, little acupuncture. You're focusing your inner power to open yourself to the universe, to let the universe refill you. And if you succeed that roll, no damage, you get your risk back, 10 or half or full, depending on how much risk you're risking or how many shrugs you're risking. Or if you fail that roll, you get the risk back. But the universe has backlashed a little bit. It's letting you know you're drawing that power too fast or too recklessly, and you do the damage, usually reflected by a nosebleed, or you get thrown across the room a little bit by the shock that you take from that energy flowing into your frame and crashing against it incongruously. So burn your risk. One more thing I need to cover. Might have missed this. It's possible to do a lot of damage in this game. You can double the damage by spending some risk. You get weapons that have a lot. Say you got this average person, 5 stamina. They got a damage resistance of 10. Say I whip out my 50 caliber handgun because I do not like that person. They can be a bad person and might really deserve it. You never know. And I take my shot at them. I hit. I'm doing a damage of 20 with this gun. They have a 10 damage resistance. I subtract the damage I'm doing from their damage resistance and the number they need to hit to negative 10. This is going to hurt. They still get to roll their damage resistance. A 1 always succeeds. No matter how much damage is coming in, no matter what is going on, a 1 on that damage resistance roll ignores all damage. You have completely bounced it. Short of rolling a 1. If I subtract that number, that damage number from my damage resistance, and it goes below 0, right there, extra shrug. As soon as it hits 0, extra shrug. And then every time I cross the threshold of 5 points lower, extra shrug. So that person with that 5 stamina and that 10 damage resistance, they've got a total of 3 shrugs. I cap them with the 20, with the 50 cal, doing 20 damage. They hit 0 for an extra shrug, and they go under by 5 2 times. So there's a shrug from missing, the shrug from hitting 0, the shrug from hitting negative 5, the shrug from hitting negative 10. That's 4 shrugs if they do not roll the 1. That is 4 shrugs. They have gone from 3 shrugs to negative 1. They are unco with the first shot. Effectively down. Doing more damage than that is fairly common in the game. Had I burned 10 risk to double my damage because I really dislike this person, that'd be a damage of 40 coming in instead of a damage of 20. So they would go under by 5 4 more times at negative 15, negative 20, negative 35, and negative 25. Yeah, that's, they're negative 30. Yeah, that's 6 under plus hitting 0, 7 plus, that's 8 shrugs. 8 shrugs all at once. That takes them to dead. Not dead as hell, but dead. Rolled 1 on that. I'm doubling my number of shrugs. 16 shrugs. Dead as hell. Rare it's happened. I'm going to burn the risk, and I roll a 1. That's not automatically going to kill someone, but it's going to kill a lot. It seems like a lot of math. It isn't. It's all addition, subtraction, dividing by 2. And after you have had 3 or 4 rounds of combat, you pick it up really fast. I recommend just doing a couple of practice rounds and seeing how it goes, doing a session 0 with characters that have a holodeck episode, have something where you're just simulating it to get into the practice, and do the math once or twice. It starts to come really fast. That's combat. That's the basics. Core book at the moment does not have any rules for tactical combat. There is a book entitled Alternate Victory, which does have tactical combat rules for fighting on a hex grid. Gives you rules for facing and movement. If you want to use that kind of involvement, we sell some paper miniatures too, just saying. And you can have that tactical aspect of the combat if you so choose. It's kind of written to go mind's eye. You have a general idea of where folks are. You might make a quick diagram and go. Spend a lot of time saying answering the question, how close am I to that person, or how far am I from them? And if that starts to bog things down, you might want to go to some tactical combat. I'll throw a link to Alternate Victory down there. Alternate Victory also contains, among other things, rules for making the healing and recovery a little bit more realistic. So you have, and then your modern at least, hospital stays and longer periods of time the characters are out, they take more damage, they are going to be more badly hurt, what it takes in surgery, etc. And it gets pretty brutal in the fantasy era and is a little bit easier to deal with in space, but it reflects a little bit more grim and gritty healing, and that can appeal to some folks. Victory has dials. Victory has modules and plugins. It is the game that you want it to be. You adjust it to fit the mood that you are looking for, and it lets you hit that. Whew. I think that's the core basics of the combat. I don't know. I think I'm going to do one more where I'm just talking about the very general bits of running an adventure, of game mastering, the bits and pieces that aren't combat, and how I put together my games, whether I have prep time or whether I don't, because Victory works well either way. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. Thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, thumbs down if you didn't. Feedback is feedback. I am looking forward to your questions about Victory, how things work, things you'd like to hear me talk about, questions you'd like to hear me answer, subjects you'd like to hear me cover. Please leave me a comment down below. I will love getting your comment. You'll love leaving me one. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, why not? My channel is awesome. I invite you to hit that subscription button. If you do, you might want to also hit the notification bell so you're alerted when my videos become available. If you would like to contribute to the channel in a more substantial manner, I invite you to hit me up on my Patreon page, www.patreon.com/ScottCorum. Consider donating. Absolutely anything helps. Allows me to make better videos more often. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. I'm Scott Corum. This is What Does Matter to Me. I'll see you next time in the next Matters of DeCorum.